Okay, welcome to the regular council meeting for the City of Garden Ridge for Wednesday, the 6th of March, 2024. We are missing one council member today. It's Todd Arvidsson. He got called to Abilene yesterday to go work up there. So I'm certain he's online right now watching. So good to see you, Todd. Busted. All right. So we've got, but we still have a quorum. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you very much. Miss Linda and company, if you would join me up front.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Okay. We have an amazing library. I just want to make sure people can hear me, right? So everybody keep coming around. I don't want to be in the picture, but we got to make sure people can hear. We have an amazing library. And it is due, yes, for a little town of about 5,000 people, for what our library accomplishes every day, every week, every month throughout the year is amazing. So thank you for what you all do. And at the helm is Miss Linda, with Wendy helping her out, which is great. You need to come up.
Yes, Wendy, get up here. She was trying to hide behind me.
So we have an award to talk about with a little plaque. It's a big plaque. It's great. So it's the Achievement of Library Excellence Award. And of the 554 public libraries in Texas, only 84 received this award in 2023. So it is fantastic. I'm going to read the short version here is what it says.
Yes,
so,
read the short version.
Because the long version's pretty long
I know.
here,
They
but it's great. The City of Garden Ridge, Library of Garden Ridge, Texas, has received the 2023 Achievement of Library Excellence Award from the Texas Municipal Library Directors Association. Didn't know there was one. That's outstanding. Mm-hmm. An affiliate of the Texas Municipal League. I can't speak. I need to spend more time at the library. To successfully receive the Achievement of Library Excellence Award, the library must exhibit excellence by providing services to underserved and special populations, enhancing services, marketing in innovative ways, promoting cultural, topical, and educational programming, providing literacy support for the mayor, providing summer reading clubs, pursuing collaborative efforts, supporting workforce development, providing for digital inclusion, and comprehensively training staff. Again, of 554 libraries in Texas, only 84 received this award in 2023. A couple of highlights here. Linda and Wendy and the library team with all the volunteers specifically did things like demonstrating distinction with many programs and services, including Lego robotics classes, Mad About Science program for children, including working with homeschooled children. For adults, there were making cards for troop classes and lunch and learn series, including gardening and health issues. So it's an amazing feat what we have in the City of Garden Ridge, and the volunteers and the workforce that put it together. We couldn't do it with every one of you, and I know every one of you. So thank you so much, and a big round of applause. And this plaque reads, 2023 Achievement of Excellence in Libraries Award presented to Garden Ridge Library by the Texas Municipal Library Directors Association. So, Miss Linda,
thank you, sir.
Can I get a hug?
You may indeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You get to speak.
Okay.
Oh, she's got to speak.
Give me a microphone, there'll be a speech. Well, thank you, Mayor, for those kind words. About 20 years ago, libraries started to reinvent themselves. We didn't want to we wanted to remain relevant to the world, and so we're not just about books or story times anymore. We're all about programs and community. We'd love to have a sign over our door that says Library and Community Center. That's for another story, another day. We'll talk about it. So I especially want to thank all these people up here. First, Wendy Bibbert. She is amazing. She is we think alike. You wouldn't know it. I think she's mini-me. But thank you for all you do, Wendy. You're just a wonderful addition. And I do thank our city manager, Nancy Kane, and the mayor, and all the council for helping to make that possible. We're really grateful that they made that possible to happen. This, as I say, is a collaborative effort. I can sit and have ideas all day long, but unless we have hands and feet, those ideas don't see the light of day. In addition to Wendy, we have outstanding volunteers. They have donated. Actually, the volunteers started the library. They ran it completely for 9-10 years, I think, all by themselves, and they did just check out books. But now they've come along beside us, and they help us with all our programs. They are wonderful. The big tall guy back here is my favorite volunteer. His name is Honey, but he will answer to Malcolm. So, yeah. We also, we have a group called Friends of Garden Ridge Library. They're represented right here. They are an organization that's specifically to support and encourage and help the library in so many ways possible. We believe that Garden Ridge deserves the best library possible, and that's our goal, is to make that happen. We're the little library that could. Thank
you. So everybody come to
Everybody's
the front
scrunchy.
So the podium's not blocked. So
Can we hold this up?
All right, I'm going to go over here. Outstanding. One more round of applause. All right, thank you. We are on to citizen comment period.
We did not have anyone sign up.
Nobody signed up, so we will keep moving on. On to item number 5, the consent agenda. These items may be acted upon in a single motion. No separate discussion or action on these items will be held unless requested by a council member. Public comment on these items may be heard during citizens' participation. However, that does not mean the item would be considered outside the consent agenda. Council, anybody have anything you want to pull from this month's consent agenda? Okay, nobody has anything to pull. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda presented.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. Thank you. On to item number 6, staff reports. 6A, city manager monthly activity report. Nancy, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I want to review just a couple of thank you notes that we received. The first one is from Jim Sturge. He wanted to thank and commend our animal services staff, especially Eric Lohman and Ryan Ferguson. He said Eric Lohman is an incredible supervisor and leader who responds to every need for animal control and relocation. And he is proud to have people like Eric managing our city services. He says Ryan Ferguson is one of the most incredibly motivated, uplifting, and positively spirited individuals he has seen in action. He is most impressive with his professional and personal attitude and the obvious pride that he takes in his work. And he asked to pass his sincere thanks to Eric and Ryan for the work they do for Garden Ridge and our citizens, stated it does not go unnoticed. They are clear role models for any employee and tremendous members of our Garden Ridge community leadership. The second note we received was from Roy Simons, and it's a statement that simply says, I am not sure how you come up with all these things, but they are fantastic, and that was geared to Linda Crossland and the Garden Ridge Library. We have a few employee recognitions to make for the month of March, anniversaries. Perhaps? The first one is for Robert Mann, utility operator, 3 years. Then we have Sergeant McKenzie, 4 years. Sergeant Tomke, 7 years. And Eric Lohman, Public Facilities Foreman, for 17 years. Thank you for all the work you do for the city of Garden Ridge. Volunteer hours, we have a total of 95 hours for the month of March. 89 of those were for the library, and 6 were for the bill stuffers. And a couple of other things that I wanted to add were that there will not be a First Friday in April. However, May 3rd is the next First Friday, and I believe it's going to be a First Friday fiesta. Okay, that's from 5:30 to 7:30 at Paul Davis Park. Then we have a shred day coming up on May the 11th from 10 to 1. It's open to residents of the city of Garden Ridge, and it will be conducted at the community center. And then I'm sure everybody, or most everyone, has noticed that the sign at Batcave 2252 is gone. They were able to remove it without damage, and we will find its replacement location as soon as we know more about what that area is going to look like with the roadway expansion. And that's all I had tonight.
Thank you, Nancy. Yep,
You're
we were
welcome.
sad to see the sign go so quickly, but it's safe. It's going to go up again. I miss it, going to work every morning off of Batcave Road. And we appreciate TxDOT working with us for a long time to keep it there as long as we could, but we needed to take it down to make sure we did it correctly and we weren't rushed to do that. So we'll have a big old party when it goes back up. And the reason we're not going to do First Friday in April is it's the air show weekend, and I will most likely be gone. So helping with the air show on Friday afternoon and evening with NEP. So council, anything for Ms. Nancy? Okay. All right, on to 6B, Finance and HR Monthly Activity Report. Robin?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have been interviewing for utility clerk and our assistant city secretary / communications specialist position. We have had some really great interviews, and we did send out 2 conditional offers for each position. Both have been accepted, and our utility clerk has already completed her conditions, so she's starting on Monday. Yay. We are expecting our assistant city secretary to be starting with us in April. So We did lose a utility operator. Our Jack resigned, and his last day was on February 23rd. The position should be posted hopefully by the end of this week or early next week for utility operator. And I think that's all I have to report on tonight.
Thank you, Robin. Great job to everybody with the interview process and bringing 2 more individuals on board. And that's the thing with hiring such great people. They're going to get job offers from other entities, cities, utility companies, and that's what happened to Jack. So he got his Class B water license. That's not the main reason he left, but he was offered a job shortly after that, and he needed to take that for his family. We miss him, but Stephen, I know you're going to hire someone else to bring on board and keep it going, especially in Public Works, because we're really busy doing that. So thanks. Council, anything for Robin? Outstanding. Marissa, City Secretary.
Thank you. Just a couple things on my report that I want to highlight is upcoming holiday. City Hall will be closed on Friday, March 29th. That's for Good Friday. And the other thing is the City of Garden Ridge general election. So we are having an election this year. If you want to see who filed, that is all available on the city's website on the elections page. And a sample ballot will be posted on the city's website once that has been finalized by Comal County Elections Office. They've probably been very busy lately dealing with a different election, so giving them a little time. The early voting period will begin on Monday, April 22nd and goes through Tuesday, April 30th. We don't have the times for each day yet. Again, Comal County is probably a little busy, but I would expect that we're going to get those shortly. And that is all that I have to update council on.
Thanks, Marissa. This is our second full month without a grapevine, Council. So I've received 2 emails last month about, hey, where's the grapevine? I haven't received anything since then. So has anybody else gotten grapevine comments from anybody? I've gotten 2. So, like, hey, bring it back? Huh? Like, hey, where is it? Okay. So.
At least some people are reading it. You know?
Yeah, so that's something that we'll take a look at once our Assistant City Secretary comes on board to see if we're going to go with that again. Again, it's a lot of work to put it all together. Like Marissa said, it's like a game of Tetris to fit it all, right? So I encourage everybody out there, if you like the grapevine and you miss it, let us know so that we can get that feedback to see if it's something that we want to continue doing with the hours involved. Okay.
Rob, one
Yes,
second.
please.
I don't have anything in writing, but I've had some verbal feedback that people wanting it as well. Not everyone is social media savvy or whatever, and a lot of them just like the tactile. If nothing else, maybe we can simplify it and just put it on the reverse side of, I don't know, calendar or something. I mean, just essential information to be considered.
Well, I like that. Thank you for that feedback. Okay, great. Thanks, Marissa. We'll move on to the Police Department. Chief, floor's yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. Most everything is in the monthly report that you've already had to review. I do want to emphasize there's a couple of functions coming up that are not on this report since they're coming up in April. We will be having on April the 11th will be the spring Pizza with the Police here in the council chambers that evening at 6 o'clock. Everyone's invited, no agendas as usual, and just come on out and have a chat with all the officers. And then a few days later, that Saturday the 13th, we are having our Refuse to be a Victim class, which is available to anybody here in the community. For those that haven't taken it, it's a great class. We even provide lunch. So come on up here on the Saturday and spend a couple of hours and get a nice class taught and have something to eat and enjoy the camaraderie with other residents. That's all I've got, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Council, anything for our Chief Police? Lise?
I do. I just wanted to give, and I shared this with Chief already, I wanted to give Officer Wang a big shout out. He made my day the other day. I was pulling out of the club and turned left onto Batcave, and there's a gravel truck on Batcave. They're not supposed to be on Batcave. And then there's a officer's car. So he tailed him all the way down Batcave. I tailed him too, just to see how this was gonna go down. And then when he turned right on 2252, let the truck go just a little bit, and then, turned on the lights, and I couldn't have been more delighted. I've got to slowly drive by Wang and give him a thumbs up as well.
And he
So,
saw that, he told me.
Good. Yeah, so I was super appreciative that he's keeping an eye on all of that on.
And all the
24
guys are
Batcave.
working that area really hard.
Good, yeah. Thank you.
Outstanding. Gravel truck got wanged. That's good. Anything else for the chief? All right, thanks, chief. On to item number 6E, Public Works Department. Stephen, sir, floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the month of February, the Public Works Department completed 376 tasks. Some of it was removing 16 pounds of trash from the right-of-ways, completed the street repairs on Bluebell and Sorrel due to the oak wilt trench. Installed new Paul Davis sign with pillars on either side of the entrance to make it more pleasing, with hooks for a chain if we ever wanted to close off the parking lot. We received our new case backhoe. No new oak wilt cases. Dumpsters will be back on March 9th, 8 to 5, March 10th, 12 to 4 p.m., March 16th, 8 to 5, and then March 17th, 12 to 4. We currently have two dogs ready for adoption. Eric Lohman and Robert Mann attended a stormwater class, and Robert Mann also passed his water test, his Class C groundwater. That's all I have for the public works side.
Thank you, Stephen. Council, anything for Stephen regarding Public Works?
Yeah, I want to kudos for the posts. When Nancy mentioned last month that we were going to put posts up by the new sign, I thought adjacent to, but I didn't realize we were going to place those old ones, and they look really great. So they look really nice. Thank you.
I haven't seen the lighting yet, but driving home tonight, I'll go by Paul Davis Park. You can see the lights that they put in. You never know. So next month, I'll drive by at night after hours. Yeah, so that's right, yeah.
Yeah, my only comment on this one is the audit harvesting. The green is real light, so
Yeah,
if it was darker, it might be better.
I remember someone saying, hey, the rust color might stand out pretty well there, but we got light green. So Nancy, thanks for all the work on making sure that they came and did some touch-ups and did the lighting and the post. That was great. So, Stephen, do you want to talk about that water main break and do you want to mention that at all, and how hard Public Works is working? Or are you going to mention that on the next part?
Next part.
Okay, great. Keep going.
For the utilities department, we pumped 2.18 acre feet out of the Edwards. For the year so far, 12.99 acre feet. We have 606.85 acre feet available. Edwards Aquifer is still in stage 2, which everybody knows that whenever they do a stage that we have to go by their rules, and we're limited on what we could pump. Just as a reminder. Trinity, we pumped 40.75 acre feet with 75.78 acre feet for the year. All distribution samples passed for the month. Water loss was 10%, so that kind of ties in with the main break over there the other night. That was actually a 6-inch water valve that went to a fire hydrant. The top of the valve totally blew off and was held by 1 bolt. Normally those held on by 6 bolts, so something I've never seen before, so it's quite different on that one. We're up there all night trying to find parts for it because all the stores were closed and we didn't have anything for that particular predicament since, like I said, never happened before that I've ever seen. So it was an interesting repair on that one. And then also the water loss also probably went up because we had doing extra main flushing because we had 2 tie-ins on FM 2252. And as you know, whenever we have to tie in, we have to flush considerable amounts of water through the mains to make it safe for the residuals to go back up. And that way everybody's has no air in their lines and they don't have no issues with their personal faucets and everything like that. And also we had another service line repair on Cherokee Pass that we had to do. It took a while also on that one. So it's quite active month for the water department. Well, we also use some of the public works guys too whenever we pull them in also whenever we need help, so.
It's fantastic. Thank you, Stephen. Jesse, what do you got?
I mean, with the rain we had in January, it really helped because January and February, the usage was 8 million gallons less than January and February last year, so it helped. But no rain, February is really affecting the aquifer. It's really approaching 640 pretty quick, and so it'll liable to go to stage 3 soon. But that's it. That's all I have. I'm on slow right now, so not watching it too closely. But
I gotta call my buddy Chris
yeah,
Suchan.
yeah.
Say,
We'll get the
hey.
rain back in.
Get some rain back here. Council, anything else for Stephen? Thanks for how hard you guys are working.
Forgot to add one thing.
Please.
Tank got painted. The logo's on the Schoenthal tank now.
Okay. Good job. It looks
Like the
great.
dark green on the bottom.
Yep. Good job. Thanks, Stephen, for all your work on that. So, all right. Thank you. And moving on to Ms. Linda, Library.
Gimme. Okay. By the way, I have had probably 10 people who complained about the grapevine. I don't know if you want my input, but people see me, we see them face to face, and a couple said, "We missed it last month. Did it not get put in our bill?" And I said, no. And some have complained. So I would guess maybe 10 people. I don't know. I didn't keep score. Just FYI. Also, the second page of my report is not, it was just for your information. It was just, I thought you would be fascinated by it. And this time, I only wanted to showcase a couple of upcoming events during March. And I had a couple of pictures. One is the Easter Bunny story time and Easter egg hunt, which is going to be March 22nd. That seems so early, doesn't it? But we're closed March 29th, as you know, and we usually have our Easter egg hunt during preschool story times, so we had to back it up to March 22nd, which seems strange. But you've just never seen the cutest kids in the world. They respond to our bunny, and you just get your fill of cuteness. And since we've had spring-like weather, a lot of people's minds are turning to gardening. And this one, I love, How to Grow Showcase Tomatoes. It kind of makes my mouth water, because you know how the tomatoes are at the store, little rubber balls. But these, I hope, will be good. And many of us are already thinking about the solar eclipse in April 8th. And for our last one in October, of course, we did a special event and made it a community effort. We had a lot of fun that day. It was so beautiful. However, I'm not planning anything for this solar eclipse. First, it's on a Monday, and I just had not planned it anyway, for several reasons. I do, however, have viewing glasses for everybody. I have a lot of viewing glasses still. They're first come, first served, but I did save some back for city employees and their families and anybody within my view and your families. So all you have to do is ask. So, is there anything else? Any questions? Thank you.
Council, anything for Ms. Linda? Congratulations on the award.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
fantastic. We are talking about doing something for city employees and council for the eclipse that afternoon. So more to follow on that.
Okay, we will stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thank you so much. That moves us off of item number 6 and on to item number 7, city engineer projects, status and reports. Sam? You're a busy man too these days. Good to see you. The floor is yours.
Good evening, thank you. The only thing I want to add is kind of give an update on the 2252 project. So as Stephen mentioned, there was a tie-in that was done on Hickory Bend last weekend. So that's complete. So as a result of that, we're able to remove all the pipe from Hickory Bend to Arrowwood. So that process is taking place this week, so they should be done with that. And as the report says, we're about 63, maybe a little over 60%, 63% complete. The next part that they need to do is in front of the church, there's an adjustment for drainage structure that's going in right there. We need to make an adjustment, and then that's another 2 tie-ins that need to be done. So that'll probably take place maybe in 2 weeks. So what TxDOT is telling us is that we have to have everything done and removed from Tonkawa Pass to, I want to say, I think Arrowwood by the end of March. So I'm pushing my contract to kind of get all this stuff done so they can get out of the way and not be in conflict. I think they may be doing some type of grading or something for their new road, but they want everything done, no traffic barriers, no anything in the way. So that's what I'm pushing everybody to kind of get that done. So that's pretty much it for the report. If we go into the presentation, just show you a couple of pictures of what was done probably about 2 weeks ago. Next slide. So this is the adjustment that had to be done at Batcave. So basically, we have a drainage structure in between, and then we have to tie in to those 2 lines where we have to adjust the pipe. Next one, please. So you can see this is them doing the tie-in, connecting to the existing pipe, and you can see at the top the pipe, the existing pipe that was cut off or whatever, and then that part's going to be was already removed, and there's going to be a new drainage structure that TxDOT is going to install there. Next slide, please. And this is them backfilling. You can see the pipes for the marking, the fittings and things of that nature, valves in the area, so we can come back and GPS everything and give you the GPS data to the exact location of all fittings in the system. Next one, please. So the schedule change, I asked for an updated schedule because we started to kind of slip a little bit. And he put the end of construction at the end of May. It's not going to take that long. As we finish the part in front of the church, all they need to do is go from Arrowwood to 3009, extend the casing, and then run a couple of 100 feet of pipe, and then they'll be done. So I'm thinking maybe the end of April, they should be out of your hair. But that's what I'm pushing for, so we'll see how it goes. But that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions, comments.
Thank you, Sam. Council, anything for Sam? Yes. Please.
Sam, I have a question on the schedule part, because I mean, the first 4 months, July, August, September, October, completed 50%. The next 4 months, only 13%. Why? What? And then you said you were going to be done, original schedule said you were going to be done February 23rd, complete. Correct. And now you're saying May for this part.
Correct.
Where's the contractor been?
The contractor is encountering solid rock the entire duration of the construction. At first, we didn't think it was going to be this much rock on the project. Every single inch that they've excavated has been through solid rock.
Okay.
The gas company is still having the same issue. They can't get their augers through to bore because the rock is breaking up. They have to pull back, go again, pull back, go again, because it's solid rock. So that's what's been slowing them down.
Okay, because I really haven't seen the expected work there. And you hadn't mentioned anything about that in the past, so a question.
I haven't mentioned about what?
Yeah, you hadn't mentioned the delay, why the delays, so.
Okay.
At least I weren't in my notes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Council, anybody else? Okay, thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 8, City Commission and Committee reports, recommendations, possible actions. 8A, Planning and Zoning Commission. 8A1, Development Application by Comal Independent School District for a zoning change, rezoning, from agricultural and agricultural homestead, AG, district to public and institutional, P, district, for an 18-acre tract known as Lot 1, Block 1, Comal ISD, Garden Ridge, located at 9401 Municipal Parkway, Garden Ridge, Texas. The property is further described as the location of Garden Ridge Elementary School, and receive a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission. And you are up. Good to see you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Planning and Zoning met last month on this zoning request for zoning change from Comal ISD, and Planning and Zoning recommends approval of the zoning change. It's appropriate for the zone change, and so it was a unanimous approval.
Thank you, Karim. Nancy, anything to add with this?
The only thing is, it is an appropriate zoning change. It aligns with the zoning for schools within our new zoning ordinance.
Okay, thank you. So, Council, this is pretty straightforward. We have to hold a public hearing just like they did in the commission meeting earlier, but this is straightforward and appropriate. So, with that, we will hold a public hearing, and the public hearing is open at 6:36 on Wednesday, the 6th of March, regarding this rezoning. Does anybody wish to come up and speak? I don't see any takers. Marissa, do we have any written comments?
No, we did not.
Okay, no takers to come up and speak and no written comments. The public hearing is closed at 6:37 p.m. And moving on to item number 8A113, discuss and take action. Council, any discussions at all regarding this zoning change? Okay, if there's no discussion, can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve this rezoning for Comal Independent School District as written in the agenda.
We have a motion to approve as written. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve as written and a second. Any further discussion? I'll call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The rezoning and motion passes unanimously. Kareem, any other updates for us?
Just the other update that we have, the technical committee or committee for the natural overlay district that we've been meeting. We've had 3 meetings. They've been going very well. They've been very productive, and I think we're getting to a good point very soon to bring a recommendation to council. Our planning and zoning next meeting for next month has been canceled due to a light agenda. So but we are meeting next month, the technical committee, and we should be able to iron it out and then present to planning and zoning our recommendation. And then, so I would think May is probably possibly a timeframe to bring to council for that recommendation.
Fantastic. That's great news. Thanks for
So-
all your hard work.
Yes, sir.
Council, anything for planning and zoning? Outstanding. Thanks so much.
Our next meeting, by the way, is April 10th for here in City
April
Hall.
10th.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to item number 8B, the Water Commission. They did not meet in February, so there's no report at this time. We'll move on to item number 9, approvals and authorizations. The following items are for discussion, consideration, and action. 9A, request for water loss adjustment for 20950 Klein Circle for the billing period of July 21st, 2023 through August 23rd, 2023. So, council, if you remember, in February, we ended up tabling this to March to see if we could get some amplifying data from the property owners. And Jesse, this was one of your things, so do you want to talk about anything right now?
No, I'd just like to have the questions, if he's here. The customer's here.
Are the property owners of, yep, please, if you would come forward. Thank you. Marissa's going to turn on the mic for you. If you'll introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Tim McNeely.
Very nice to have you here. Thanks for coming tonight. So, Jesse, I'll turn it over to you. I think you have some questions.
Yes, I have questions. Thanks for coming tonight, we tabled it just because you weren't here last time, and we had questions for you, or I did. When did you actually find the leak? How'd you find it,
We were, my wife went out in the front yard. We normally don't go out the front door. And it had rained the day before. And so she went out and she saw a puddle that day and she thought, well, it's just because it rained. And then the next day, it was still there, so.
So what day was that?
Sunday.
It wasn't until Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, apparently it hit, and I have that, get my meter info, where you go out
Yeah.
and see how much volume you've used. And we saw that it really broke through like Saturday morning.
Yeah. Well, you got according to our information that sends out texts, you received a text, or a text was sent to your phone at 9 a.m. on Friday, the 21st. So.
Yeah, that's, if you look at the data, that's when it was doing like 20 to 40 gallons a minute or something.
Yeah, but that's the first time
Which,
you
when you look
yeah.
at the month, you can't even see that. That's why we didn't until we drilled down, and we noticed that, and then we looked off to the side of the house, and I thought it was a slab leak.
Yeah.
But it was, so we called a plumber, and of course, they come out and they're like that, the one guy's like, I can't dig, that's in rocks and roots. So we called another one, and we finally got somebody out there. I think it was Monday was the first one we could get out there. But we did go and try to attempt to turn the water half off. So it wasn't so much, because like I said, we didn't know exactly what it was. I thought it was a slab leak. And then when we finally called, I think it was O'Haver Plumbing, they came out, and the guy dug until he found it, and it was where I guess the 1.5 inches went into the inch. It was just a little fitting that it broke right in the middle.
Okay, so they couldn't, you said the first plumber couldn't work. The record, the documentation was sent in was that you declined the bid, but it actually was them, they couldn't do the work. Is that correct?
No, he wanted like $1,500 just to dig the hole, and I'm like,
Okay.
well, maybe I'll get out there. And,
Okay.
anyhow,
But you
so
said you weren't able to close a valve. Did you call?
No, we did. We
closed it?
closed it halfway. We had to have water, but we closed it halfway to keep, once we found out that when we turned it down, it stopped bubbling in the front. So
Why didn't you close it all the way?
well, it's kind of hard to run dishwashers and stuff like that with.
Yeah, well, you could open and close it.
We did.
So we have people that.
We
that
closed
had-
it. We
closed
closed it
it?
in the evening.
Well, it doesn't show that. I mean, the records show that you have continuous flow the whole time. According to the bar chart, you can use.
Well, not till Monday night when we discovered
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I have a problem with that because our ordinance, from the records you provided and from our records that the data that provided there showed that there was no water, there was continuous flow the whole time. And ordinance 54, go ahead and go down to the bottom of the next page. So 6 here says, water loss adjustment will only be considered if qualified and of course, it was over 40,000 gallons. It was corrected, so we did that. But the third one, water was shut off and as reasonable possible after detection. And I don't see a record, the data I see says it was still flowing. It wasn't shut off completely, so from my perspective, that, and number 7I says customer, was aware of it and then shut off the water. So based on those two, you don't qualify for a leak adjustment, in my opinion. See? She didn't do an effort to close it. I had a 3-gallon-an-hour leak, and I worked hard that day to find it. And, and here you had a 200, almost 700 gallons at some point, 250, 600 gallons, according to your records. And, you still ran the sprinkler on it, your system. You still ran the sprinklers, while you were doing that. So, anyway, I have a personal problem with that. But that's my personal, I don't know where the rest of council is.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so, anyway, I'll let our other council members, jump in.
Thank you, Jesse. Council, any other comments? No? Okay. Okay, Jesse, do you have a recommendation?
Yeah, like I said, I don't feel he qualifies because he didn't make an attempt to close the water. He didn't call I mean, you could have called city up here, you know, we have after-hours call to help you, you know, with that. You know, they could have gone out there and helped you, you know, control the water flow. So, I don't know, I said, you know, according to my interpretation of this, he doesn't qualify, but that's up to y'all to see if y'all agree, so.
Okay, Nancy and/or Stephen, do you have amplifying data for us? The recommendation from the Water Commission was
To approve.
to approve the credit of $1,200,
Yeah.
$1,244.20, correct?
I don't have anything else to add.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so,
if you do want to, okay, go ahead.
is there anything else to add?
If council does want to provide credit, I would adjust the numbers to match his numbers request, because Stephen didn't reduce for regular water consumption. So I used a 77,000 gallon leak instead of his 92,000 gallon, or whatever Stephen did. But I mean, that's if you want to provide a credit. I would modify the calculation.
Do you have the numbers already done?
Oh, yeah. It'd be $1,138.24. It's only a $100 difference.
$138.24?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So that's if you know, I would just adjust it to his number that he requested, you know.
okay.
Can we do a partial credit,
Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want, yeah.
right?
I have a question,
kinda my
Jesse.
thought,
Did-
too.
Your thing's on. Did you say the sprinkler, you continue to use the sprinkler with a leak? Despite having a leak, you used a sprinkler to water your lawn?
It happened, the sprinklers go off on Mondays. I water on Mondays.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you
The
quite.
the sprinklers go on Monday.
Oh,
So, yeah.
thank you.
But he adjusted that. He said he took that, what my normal usage for sprinklers were out of that. So that's not included in the loss.
It wasn't Steve's calculation, it's not in yours. That's why I corrected, to use your numbers, to correct for that.
I just thought that was fair, what I
Yeah.
used. Yeah.
Jesse, based on the data and the numbers that you've crunched and the $1,138.24 credit that you
Yeah.
just mentioned, do you have a motion?
Well, I'd like to hear what Lisa's thought was there on a partial.
Lisa?
I'm open to a partial credit. I mean, I think you did some of the work to slow the leak down, but not all of the work. I don't know, what do y'all think?
I'm open to that as well.
Okay, so
You have a proposal?
do you have a proposal?
Half?
Well, okay, so I'm going to weigh in on this one. I think based on the numbers that Jesse has put together and the discussion that we've had, I think I would be in favor of a motion, not that I'm going to vote, but for, how many gallons did you say it was?
So the numbers he presented were 76,700. And I just rounded off to 77,000
Okay, round
There's a
about
leak.
77,000.
as the leak, you know, amount.
And then the new number would be $1,138.24.
Right.
So,
Just to match his request.
okay. So that's where I'd be leaning as the mayor.
Okay?
So we can continue the discussion, or we can call it for a motion, if you've got one. And it sounds like you have one.
Jesse, real quick, so the 11/30/24, that was pushing it down to 60? Is that what you said?
No, it pushes down to, so in the packet that we received,
Right.
there's, let me get this out. There was a bar graph. And we can't show it on the screen, but there was a bar graph here, and those numbers is when that's what he requested. He calculated a leak of 76,700 gallons a leak, and Stephen had used 92,000. He used the whole Stephen had used the whole usage, and Mr. McNeely, he corrected it for the water consumption. So that's why I say we use his numbers.
Remind me again what Stephen's number was?
Hold on. It's in the original.
I thought it was
It's
1,200.
the original, it's $1,244.20.
But it was 92, the gallons he calculated was 752 gallons. So about 15,000 gallons difference, which is about, yeah. And it matches what their normal consumption was before and after the leak. So,
Lisa, anything else to add? Kelly? Okay? Jesse?
I don't have anything else to add. I just
Okay.
see where council is on. I can go either way.
Do you have a number in mind?
Okay, so it seems, Mr. McNeely, that you guys made a very reasonable effort
like you
to
did, yeah.
try to handle the leak. Dealing with plumbers, especially over a weekend, can be very difficult, and we live in incredibly rocky soil that we just saw with our engineer showing us the pictures of where we live. So I think that your efforts were reasonable, and I agree with the adjusted rate of running up to 77,000 gallons. And I agree the credit should be $1,138.24 based on what Jesse's talked about. So I think it's reasonable what he did. So I think let's have a motion and see what happens.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and make the motion, based on your thoughts there, is that we adjust the credit to $1,138.24.
We have a motion to adjust the leak adjustment credit for $1,138.24. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Did you vote? Okay. So the motion passes.
Was that reasonable? Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for coming tonight. Appreciate it. All right. Thank you, council. Good discussions. 9B, Natural Features Overlay, NFO District Technical Committee Update. We sort of talked about it already, but Nancy and Jesse, you guys have at it.
I don't really have anything else to add other than to what Karim said. That's where we're at in the committee, and suspect that perhaps we may be bringing a recommendation to council.
I do appreciate Bryce helping out with this.
Yes.
Charlie. So he did a great job in explaining some of the things, so yeah, I'm glad you have him. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jesse and Nancy and council. For the rest of you, Nancy's been keeping me up to date on all this, and they're doing great work. And they'll have something which will help the city of Garden Ridge and planning and zoning, hopefully come May. Thanks so much. On to item number 9C, resolution number 516-03-2024. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Garden Ridge, Texas, authorizing and affirming the creation of the City Events Committee, providing for the purpose, organization, appointment, and duties of the committee, and other matters in connection therewith. So, council, I'm not going to go through, and that's the preamble of the resolution. I'm not going to go through and read the whole thing because it's in your packet. This is a necessity that comes, we've had some tremendous work that's come out of our Parks Committee, and that has been run by our tri-chairs, as you all know, and a lot of stalwart volunteers. And they've done some great work, and many of you and us have been on that Parks Committee over the years, so, or part of it, and certainly have volunteered with it. So we had two of the tri-chairs resign recently, so now we're down to one chair, and we had a long talk with Dr. Jim Miller and as the remaining chair to get his thoughts on where we should go, and this is what we came up with. So myself and Nancy and the city staff and whatnot, you guys have given inputs to Nancy for this. So this is the events committee, because we have two primary events that the city puts on every year that we're known for. Obviously, the 4th of July parade and celebration, and then the Christmas tree lighting every single year. And that takes a tremendous amount of work from the previous Parks Committee to put all that together. And we thank Rod Chamberlain and Linda Potts and Jim Miller for everything, Dr. Jim Miller for everything that they have done through the years to put all that together. It was one of the first things I got to work on when I first was elected to the seat of mayor, working with Rod and company on the 4th of July for 2021, and just how much work goes into that. So in order to continue and make sure that those things happen, we have the events committee. So Public Works is still in charge of the parks, and they will continue along those lines. And now what we are looking to create as the events committee is our city manager will be the chairman of the events committee. And the city manager will put it all together for members of that committee to include department heads that are going to be involved in the planning and execution of each event. The resolution also talks about other events like Trunk or Treat, which is a huge event that is sponsored primarily by the library, but I mean, it takes all of us to put that on, and going with that. So Nancy, as our city manager, would be in charge. We want as many volunteers to still come forward and be part of that committee as possible, to include obviously Dr. Miller and Rod and Linda. We still need your inputs, please, and if you are still up to volunteer, please do so. And we need to create this so that we can start planning in the month of March and certainly April for our 4th of July parade. That's the background information here. So most of you are up to speed on this through Nancy and just these discussions. So I'll start over here. Kay, any thoughts?
Sounds like General Kane is back in charge.
It's doing great things. Yes.
And I think I see two volunteers in that row with their heads ducked down, not making eye contact.
You know, Rod's not looking up, and Dr. Jim finally is looking up. Jesse?
No, I support it.
Lisa? Kelly? All right. Nancy, anything to add?
No, sir.
Okay, well, council, if there's nothing else to add, can I get a motion to approve resolution number 516-03-2024 as written?
Move to approve resolution number 516-03-2024.
Second the motion?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Nancy. You're in charge of something else. Okay, great. Thank you, council, and thank you again to the Parks Committee and our tri-chairs, and Rod, great work over the years, and pass that on to Linda too, please, and Dr. Miller, obviously, always a pleasure. Thank you. Moving on to item number 10, updates. 10A, City Council projects. 10A1, aggregate production operations, APO impacting Garden Ridge. Lisa, you got it.
We got a lot to cover here. First, let's talk about Guadalupe Ready Mix. No, first of all, I want to say how proud I am of our citizens. They've done a phenomenal job of of reaching out and advocating for the city. And that brings me to Guadalupe Ready Mix. We ended up with 385 comments submitted to TCEQ. There were some doubles in there, but calling for either a motion to overturn or to have a public meeting in regards to their air permit. And I learned today, everything sort of runs on a 30-day clock, but I did learn today that we've been issued a docket number, which means the comments we've submitted will go before the commissioners to see if we will indeed have a meeting or, they'll overturn. So I'm sure y'all noticed that they're building everything up over there. They tore down the old Ruppel House. And talking to some people that have lived on 2252 a long time, they were really, really sad about that. That house was around from the 50s, and I think there were 2 girls there. And then Heidelberg moved down the street and took down the other house, which I also understood was part of the Ruppel family house. So sad to see those go, certainly. So I'll just keep everybody posted on Guadalupe Ready Mix and where we go from here. Heidelberg, we're continuing to work this from all angles. So I'll talk about kind of the 3 angles we're looking at. One is the legislative, and I've thrown TCEQ in there. Carrie Isaac and her chief of staff and a representative from Campbell's office, from Senator Campbell's office, visit us on February 8th. We took them down Schoenthal Road where the quarry expansion would be, and then we took them to back of Wildwind where there's a Lion Cave Materials quarry that's also giving us lots of issues. And then we took her to the church on 2252 and down past the entrance of Heidelberg. They gave us 3 hours of their time, which we really appreciated. They listened, they talked to our citizens, asked good questions. So, hopefully we'll keep, one of the things we walked away with was wanting to work on some legislation that might work for us. But it's a long haul and they're open to it. So I guess this summer, I think we're going to start some of that, try to put some ideas together and see what she'll take on. I'm pleased to announce that Donna Campbell will be coming to visit as well. She'll be here on April 11th. And we're excited about that. We also met with Mayor Nierenberg because he was instrumental in preserving the initial part of the Dirks Ranch that was going to be developed. And he had some good ideas and suggestions. And he certainly shares our concerns. They're going to do some due diligence there and get back to us on some things. I know we've had citizens reach out to all of the above, including Cruz, Cornyn, and Abbott. They have been phenomenal about reaching out to our legislators, and it's made a difference. The WPAP, the Water Pollution Abatement Plan, is still under technical review. I continue to send comments to the director of the Edwards Protection Program. We, of course, missed our public comment period on that. So she is really good at keeping me in the loop. I'm sure, and I had a frank conversation with her asking if any of these things are ever denied. And, she said not often. Sometimes there's notice of deficiencies and we send it back and they correct those and it goes through this process, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. And if it's approved, our next action on that would be to file a motion to overturn. So we could come back with some additional information about our concerns of the aquifer and part of the plans. Heidelberg still has to file for a floodwater permit with Comal County and a permit with the Army Corps of Engineers. Part of their plan is crossing over both Dry Comal Creek and Bear Creek at grade level, and that's something that has to go through the Army Corps of Engineers. Don't know a whole lot about that yet, but I'm doing my research. So there continues to be opportunities to, address their plans over there. I've been in contact with the senior legal counsel to the executive director of TCEQ. They're trying to put a together a meeting to include Kerry Isaac and Senator Campbell as well. And it's been, obviously with Super Tuesday and whatnot, they've been super busy. So we visited about that again today. And, that will be helpful for us to go forward and talk about what it's like to live in Garden Ridge, surrounded by all the APOs. And looking at this WPAP, if you haven't looked at it and read it, I mean, every time I look at it, I'm a little more horrified. Batcave International, as you all know, supports Bracken Batcave, less than 4 miles away. They are looking at the process to be considered a United Nations World Heritage Site. And 4 miles away, we've got a company that has identified sensitive features, and 4 of them, they intend to pour concrete down. That means they're pouring concrete down to seal off these bat caves, so the runoff, stormwater runoff from, the blasting in the pit doesn't contaminate the aquifer. I mean, it's so ironic to me that they're, they're solving their own pollution problem by causing massive damage to, these karst features and, sealing them up with concrete, and there's endangered species and all of those kinds of things. So I find it just the disparity between how wonderful the Bracken Bat Cave is, and, we all are proud of that. It's the largest in the world. And then taking these bat caves and pouring concrete down them. It's 3 caves and then 4, then it's a series of solution cavities. So that, but every time I read the thing, I get a little more upset. So legal options, that's kind of the next direction. I'll say that I've had some initial interviews with 3 different attorneys. I haven't even had a chance to brief Nancy and Rob on the latest one. Each of them has a different approach. It varies. There's some considering citizen suit. There's one that has a particulate matter expert. Another is focused on the endangered species. So, just having those discussions. I don't think we're making any decisions on that yet. One of the things we'd have to consider is, budgeting money for it. So just keep that in the back of your minds. The other really important part of this has been the public outreach. Again, kudos to our citizens. They've reached out to our legislators and to Heidelberg in general. We were having a hard time getting Heidelberg to respond to us via emails until our citizens started sending out messages. And then we got a call. I got an email from Chris Hobby, who's the president of the Southwest region, saying he was willing to come visit, and in the meantime, he would take a call. Chris and I had a long conversation. Well, first of all, Chris sidelined me to LB initially, and I called LB, and LB, spun the story of, we want to be great neighbors. We serve in the community, we support the community, and you can have my phone number, you can call anytime there's a problem, and we share your concerns. And he said that he wanted to come out and visit with me so I could discuss my concerns with him. I declined that visit. I said he knew full well what our concerns were. He has for several years. Rob drove him around the city and said, this is our vision for the city. Here's what we're concerned about. So I didn't think that was a necessary conversation to have with LB again. So I said, I want to talk to Chris Hobby. That's what I want, the next guy up, the president of the Southwest region. So Chris and I spoke. It was a long conversation. I walked him through all of our concerns over here, that our citizens are upset. If the current quarry is any kind of example, we know what to expect with this expansion. He called it an extension. I thought that was a nice little spin on things. We talked about truck traffic, blasting noise, that their quarries were close to 4 different, the Heidelberg was close to 4 different schools, with our students outside, doing athletics and, playing in the band and everything else. And we had huge concerns about the pollution. I emphasized to him too that this is that Garden Ridge is a home for a large veteran community, both active and retired. And, you know, people bought their retirement homes here. And this was very distressful to them. Talked about economic impacts. This goes in, our property values goes down. Our roads continue to be damaged. Talked about the endangered species part. There's some, within the karst features, there's actually more, there's a series of beetles and blind salamanders and all of these what would they call them? Aquatic aquifer invertebrates, something along those lines. Again, not my specialty. I talked to all about that. Told them that we were going to fight, that, you know, from a legislative, you know, legal and, you know, PR angle. And I said, you know, do you want to be known as the city or as the company that destroyed Garden Ridge? We talked about, from his side of things, he felt like maybe they had a false sense of security over the last couple of years. He was taking some action. He said he had reached out to other APOs about the road infrastructure and making some repairs there. We talked about that it wasn't our, I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, I asked him, so my understanding is that you've petitioned to be released from the San Antonio ETJ in the county. Has that happened? He said, yes, that's happened. And I said, well, why would you do that? And he said, well, you know, greater property rights. I said, Mr. Hobby, heavy industry is asking to be released from these ETJs, so there is less regulatory authority, and I don't consider that a friendly move. I also mentioned that hiring David Earl was also not a friendly move, that Rob had been very straightforward with LB, that our experience with David Earl was not great, that he was demeaning to our council and our citizens. He said he didn't know anything about David Earl, but he would look into it. Where we sort of ended, and I need some input from y'all, was what do we want our future relationship to look like? You know, clearly what we've been doing hasn't been working. And I said, you know, Chris, we've been doing this person-to-person thing where something goes wrong and we reach out and we assume it's going to fix and it's not getting fixed. I said, we've got a state agency, TCEQ, that is there for us, you know, to use to both, you know, to enforce compliance, you know, to the rules and regulations. And I said, I'm hesitant to engage in the same relationship we had before because it wasn't working, you know? I mean, do we need to meet monthly? Do we need to meet quarterly? Do we need to go on site? We have the right to go on site. You know, I don't know. I don't know the right answer. I don't. But I know that talking to Chris Hobby got things moving. There have been road sweepers out there. I don't know if you saw the picture in San Antonio Express News of that shot of the road that was so, by the railroad tracks there, that was so dusty with the poles like this. I happened to drive by on Sunday, and there were literally people out there with brooms sweeping the street, trying to get it cleaned up. So I'm seeing an effort made, but as everybody on 2252 tells me, they're like, yeah, right, just for now. They're not going to continue it. They do this for a little while, and then, you know, it goes back to what it was. So, but working with Chris has been effective, at least getting things done. Before we get to kind of deciding what that relationship looks like, I want to talk a little bit more about the public outreach we've done. I've had so many conversations with conservation and preservation groups. Each of them has given me a little bit something to think about. I had a good conversation with the Great Springs Project. They actually walked the Dirks Ranch. They were interested in acquiring it, but couldn't meet the finances that the Dirks family wanted. So he was able to tell me about what was on that property and the karst features and the endangered species. And he said, you know, it's heavily ranched, so probably not a lot of warblers, but you can expect the tricolored bats and and those kinds of things. So it was an interesting perspective. Again, I've talked to Bat Conservation International, Edwards Aquifer Alliance. I've got a Zoom call scheduled with Annalisa tomorrow. They are willing and able to put out an action item and, spread the word on this. Comal County Conservation Alliance, I met with them yesterday. He had some ideas as well. All of these people are far more knowledgeable about the conservation preservation part of this than I am. Hill Country Alliance, TRAM, which is the Texans responsible for aggregate mining, continue to talk to them about these applications in the future. They are working really hard on best management practices for these quarries. I've obviously been in touch with the local TCEQ Air Enforcement Division that I sent along that newspaper article, and it triggered an investigation, a dust mitigation investigation. Texas Parks and Wildlife. We've got how many billion in Parks Fund now from Prop 14? Nobody knows quite sure how it's going to be used, but one of the options, they've talked about is state parks. I've got a call, I actually received a call back while I was sitting up here from their wildlife division, because they also help with endangered species. So I want to be on their radar. I want to be on their list. We've got to stay out there. Preserve the Texas Hill Country, which is the Vulcan, Stop the Vulcan Quarry. We've got lots in common with them, and Milan has a ton of information on her website that I've drawn from to learn about these things and to, form my responses to TCEQ. Edwards Aquifer Authority. They I spoke with them. They had not submitted any comments on the WPAP. Comal Trinity Groundwater District was still looking at it. I've gone up to the federal level of the EPA. We did have, or the church did submit an incident report on a blast there that covered the playground with dust and noxious odors. So we were able to report that as an incident, not an ongoing problem, but hey, this happened and we're concerned about it. Also reached out to the Air Enforcement Division there as well. I mean, my question is, how are we monitoring the air? How are we doing this, and where do we see those numbers, and is it being done correctly? So I mean, there's lots of angles to still work with this. But, for now, I guess I ended with Chris Hobby in saying, listen, we need to figure out, we absolutely need to figure out what to do with the existing quarry. It's a mess, right? And we've got to fix that. Let's figure out how that relationship looks. I said as of now, I know that the expansion is unacceptable to the city of Garden Ridge, that our citizens are upset. They're very much against it. And, that's where we're at.
Thanks, Lisa. That was an awesome update. Thanks for all your hard work on everything you're doing. You're the expert. Council, you heard Lisa talking about, what are your thoughts on this? So what are your thoughts on this? So this is the first time we've really had an opportunity to sit down here and at a council meeting and talk about it. So through Lisa's efforts, Mr. Chris Hobby is talking to us and you guys had an amicable,
We did.
good conversation.
We did.
So
I'll tell you, there was a couple points where I think it bugged him a little bit when I said it wasn't our job to babysit that quarry, right? It's not our job. They should be doing what they're doing right now on their own without us having to, apply pressure to them. And they did not like to be associated with Guadalupe Ready Mix at all. We talked about how all of this came about with them hosting them on their land in the city limits and how that wouldn't work for us, and then LB asking if there were other spots in the city that Guadalupe Ready Mix could go, and Rob firmly saying, no, our ordinances don't support, the height of their silos. And, and I said, I think LB put together this Guadalupe Ready Mix deal. And it's like, we don't have anything to do with them. We don't have nothing to do with Guadalupe Ready Mix. They could go down the road to get rock and come back to their facility. So I think that maybe he feels like that triggered some things here. I should also mention that LB is the one that put together this land deal. He has not been transparent with us. He has been apologetic after something happens, but he has not been forthcoming. And he put this deal together.
Council, what are your thoughts? Kelly?
Well, I'm sure LB is, he saw when we abolished our Corey Commission, so that might have unleashed the cuffs for him, I guess. I don't know. If they were abide by the, I know that was more for blasts and everything, but.
Yeah, that was, the Corps Commission had run its course. It had
Right.
accomplished its charter, and for us, we had a lot of redundancy and things that the Corps Commission was doing that the city already did, and it had run its course. So, so that's kind of, I
Yeah.
think that's a little bit different.
And, but, in thinking about that, is that something where we establish another commission? I don't know. Obviously you become the guru at this, but, at a certain point, you need help. So.
Okay, we'll go all the way to you.
Well, first of all, this is more than a full-time job that you've taken on, and kudos to you, and absolutely, I know you had the article online last week, and then it appeared in the 7 or 8 people that still take a paper copy like us. For those of you who don't know, there's an article in, I think it was Monday's, the 4th paper, this San Antonio Express News. It's a full, almost 2/3, a little bit above, not quite above the fold, but then a full 2/3 of the back page of the front section, including the picture that Lisa referenced. And it's an incredible, and the fact that you've reached such a significant portion of our citizens is amazing. We don't ordinarily get that kind of response. So that's incredible. Listening to you each time, it's like, okay, what can we do? Because we can't all work together just because of the law, Charlie. But I did coincidentally hear something at a United Way. I'm on the United Way committee for assessments, and heard something about someone, can't say too much more, that maybe had a lead on it, just one other possible way to approach it. Someone was involved in the Vulcan quarry situation. I don't know if it'll lead to anything, but I'll certainly, I have the contact information coming my way. So, but if there's anything we can do roundabout, through Nancy to say, could you investigate this section or whatever, I don't think we can fight them financially, because even if we put every single penny, even if we win the lottery and put every single penny we have, they'll just up it by $1. They've already proven that. I had heard about the purchase of the Dirks Ranch before from someone that lives out that direction. That was, they just couldn't match. They
Right,
have such
they
deep
just outbid
pockets.
'em.
They just couldn't match it.
Right.
So it's a shame. And also in that article, I think it's in the article where you mentioned they offered to fill in the holes with cement. Well, okay, I'm sorry. So that means there's cement. So nothing is going to seep. And then they also said, I believe, that at such time as they felt necessary, they were going to go ahead and extract that cement and go ahead and quarry
Yeah,
those same
they
holes.
just blast
It's
it. They
a
do, they
temporary
just
fix.
blast
It's
it.
just
Yeah.
like putting a cork in it.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Everything about this is bad.
Right.
Except for what you're doing. So,
Well, one of the things that talked about a little bit with Nancy and Rob and wanted to bring to y'all as well was doing some kind of town hall for the citizens, so we could all participate and answer questions and do that kind of thing. That's an option.
Jesse?
Well, also like Kay said, I appreciate everything you've done. A lot of research, a lot of knowledge you have gained already from this process, and I appreciate all that.
More than I ever wanted to know.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do, and I have an engineering background, I have no desire. I'm a chemical plant person. So, but, I guess, getting the input from the citizens would be great to see what our citizens want us to do. Because, otherwise, there's no sense in us, spending, time and money from
Right.
our part of our citizens don't support this, so.
Well, I mean, they'll always outspend us,
Right,
right?
yeah,
But the
so-
public outreach part of it, I think, is vital.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they got a company's reputation to protect, and, you know, they haven't been acting amicably currently. You know, but there's options.
I'm also worried about, you know, what is at risk for us, you know? I know we have our dumpsters over there in the quarry, we use the parking for the car show, things like that, that we could lose. So I'm saying we gotta be sure we keep a balance there, so I'm hoping these negotiations with them continue, that, you know, we still keep a good relationship. So I appreciate the contact you made with the president, South Region, I think that's gonna help a lot. But as far as, you know, out-of-pocket costs, that's where I think we have to really look at careful, you know, especially if we're going to hire attorneys or something, that's where we're going to have to really look at. You know, yeah, because I see what our citizens want, you know, I don't know, we'll spend money, you know, or time, so that's my biggest concern about the financially part, and I appreciate everything you've done, because it's free, so. But,
I have a lot more free stuff I can do too, so we don't even have to go there yet, right? Just doing those initial conversations to see what the approach could be if we needed to. They're also, and I've written to them, and you know, they've said it takes 3 to 4 weeks to hear back. There are also environmental justice groups that will take on your case for free, you know, if they think it's worth fighting. So we're looking at some of those, you know, those well, you know.
make it his own thing, you know, is what's the chance of us winning anything? The percentage, probability. So you look at statistical analysis and you kind of, you know, how low on the low side are you to be successful in this? So how much energy do you put? Anyway.
Well, I mean, I think, again, we're not there to spending money yet, but I think our citizens would say that we need to put up a fight. Not sure what that looks like, but I think they would say, listen, this is so impactful to the city, you know, that this expansion would be just a disaster.
I know some of the residentials that are closer to it in that part of the city, you know, Schoenthal Ranch, Lewis Ranch, you know, Rockwell Ranch, it's actually closer to this new addition than we are.
Right, and
I mean-
I went out to Lewis Ranch to speak to their HOA, and I am in contact with people in the Schoenthal Ranch, and I know that Rockwell Ranch has been notified as well. I mean, this is so much more than Garden Ridge, this is Comal County. I mean, this is what's happening to, you know, the hill country. We're getting eaten up by these APOs. And I keep saying this to people, there's something just wrong with a system that addresses growth. You know, this is all growth related. You know, we're in this boom here by destroying one person's home to build another person's home, right? I mean, I feel like they're taking from us, impacting our quality of life to build new houses and roads, you know? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Those houses are in the county, not in the city. So no revenue.
You know, you talk about air quality, you can go to Universal City, and it's pretty amazing how far out Comal County you can see in Guadalupe County. If you go to Noise Bistro, that area right there, that little strip center, go up there, invite anybody, go out there on any given day, and you will see tons and tons of dust from all the different quarries going up 35 out this way. I mean, it's bad. I mean, it's really bad. And now you're just gonna, you know, compound it. And they've got 100 years of mining still out of what they've got here, you know, and they need another, you know, it blows my mind. And they say they're not gonna build out the road out to Schoenthal. You know what I call on that one, so.
Right.
I mean, think about my experience as an engineer, you know, Deer Park, Pasadena. When you go down
Right.
those roads and
Yep.
you're seeing chemical plant after chemical plant, you see the same thing, but it's a chemical, you know,
Right.
you know, DC. So different type of industry, but the same impact on those residents over there. And one of our DuPont plants actually had a big release that affected a lot of, you know, schools and residents years ago.
Well, as far as the expansion of the quarry, my recommendation there is we just stay the course, let me keep gathering information, let me keep talking to people, and see where this goes. You know, again, we're waiting on some action on the water pollution abatement plan, and that will be something that we could respond to. And again, that's not going to cost us anything. That's an easy thing to respond to. And then there's a couple other permits coming up that we can work on as well. But we do need to figure out how we want to address the current quarry.
So just to put this in real perspective here, how hard Lisa's working, her efforts actually generated a phone call to the city looking for Lisa from the executive director's office of TCEQ, which, yeah.
I love TCEQ.
Which was crazy. So that's how hard she's working. So council, no action, obviously, on this, other than praise for all of Lisa's efforts and to keep going. I would ask that, obviously, in the interest of Toma, that you funnel your concerns through Nancy, and then Nancy will give them to Lisa and myself, and then expect, obviously, another update in April, and then we have our 45 minutes with Senator Donna Campbell after NEP lunch that day. So we'll do what we can. So great work. Keep going.
Just a couple things. Town hall, is that something we want to do so we can hear from our citizens what they're thinking, what action they'd like us to take?
I think so. I mean, we haven't had one in a while, and it will incorporate people who've not, maybe newer residents as well. And as long as we have a giant map, the size of the wall, you know, to show them, this isn't, you know, this isn't far off. This is like right here on our corner.
Right.
And how much it literally doubles the size of the present quarry. You know, and then blow-ups of the pictures that you had taken and so on. I think it could be impactful.
I still just feel like I still run into people that don't know this is in the works.
Okay. We'll keep on moving. Thanks, Lisa. I don't have anything for item number 2. Do you? Okay. On to item number 3 for updates, economic development and council liaison to Tri-County Chamber of Commerce. Kay and Kelly.
Kelly and I were able to go, because he was out of town for the ribbon cutting for Greater Learning LP, which was a couple months ago. April Smith is the owner. She has 2 other facilities. I was able to go to that, but we had thought that we probably ought to establish a protocol for businesses, new businesses to Garden Ridge, so that we, aside from those of us who can or cannot attend the ribbon cutting sponsored by Tri-County or the Chamber or whatever, whichever organization, that we have sort of a budget. We established some kind of budget for a welcome basket, if you will. Nancy pulled together some items for us, and so we set up a thing with, again, I had met April Smith, but we set up a thing, an appointment to go to Greater Learning LP, which is here on 2252. So Kelly was able to meet them for the first time, and we talked. We had a great conversation, and then we were able the next day to go to Greenlight Mortgage with Becca Hollard. She's the owner of that property, and she's newer. I wasn't able. Jesse and Todd were able to go to that ribbon cutting, and then neither Kelly nor I were. So we went again to that one the next day. So we had a meet and greet and so on, and put them in connection with, in touch with people for Tri-County, so that they can possibly become involved, and let them know, for example, that our next luncheon is going to be here, so that it's like literally in their back door, that they can come on over and do some meeting, if you will. So, and it turns out that Becca had worked quite a bit with Tracy Blackwell, so she's familiar with the area. So I think we just should consider, I don't have a dollar amount in mind, but as we hopefully get new businesses, it may not be immediate, of course, but just have some sort of protocol for a budget for something we can pull together. We're almost out of our items from the 50th. So the bags are great, no matter what we can put in them. The bags, I think, are great. So I'd like to throw that out there as a work in progress, if you will.
Yeah, we are almost out of merch, so,
Right,
right,
right.
we need to, what's that? So, I agree, we need to keep going with that. I appreciate what you and Kelly are doing, so.
Welcome wagon.
Welcome wagon.
And Jesse was able to go. Todd and Jesse went to the actual ribbon cutting
That's
for
great.
Greenlight Mortgage.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Awesome. Kelly?
Yeah, and I mean, I think we need to, and I don't know if we do this in this setting now or later, but I mean, we need to establish a budget and quick, because Kay and I can't pay for this. I owe you some money, by the way. We can't pay for this out of
For the
our own
record,
pockets.
yes, you do.
Huh?
The
Yeah, I
record,
do owe you
yes, you
money.
do.
Yeah. So, I mean, we shouldn't have to spend this out of our own pockets each time to go visit a new business. So, I mean, it's pretty minuscule as far as our budget's concerned. I mean, even if it's $30 to $50, I mean, so I don't know if is this something we vote on now or we add to the next agenda item? I'd hate to keep pushing it, because next thing you know, we're on to next month and then the next month.
Let's do this, just because we can't take any action on stuff and updates. Why don't you guys funnel your request to Nancy, and then Nancy will bring that to me. And then we can either put it in if we need to put it in the agenda for April, we can, or if we can come up with another way to do that. So, does that work?
Sounds good.
Okay. Keep going.
All right, so my update here. Okay, so I literally just received a phone call, like on my way over here. A company that wants to purchase land on 2252 is interested in developing a really unique shopping venue, and kind of got me excited, actually, got me very excited. But then, going back to the Corey thing, does somebody want to come here and put something near that area when, and even though it's zoned for that, when they've got a million trucks coming through and dust flying everywhere, and so, but that got me thinking with that discussion. But anyway, so they called, asked for a meeting with Mayor and Nancy and I. So I'll get with you guys after this meeting about that. And then that's the end of EDC stuff. I got my little text here from Mindy with updates from the chamber. All right, so, so she said she was so excited. We did a super turnout for the Greenlight Mortgage. She was very excited about that. Thanks for Jesse and Todd for coming out, she said. And thank you from me, too. Hopefully be having a ribbon cutting for somebody else soon, she said. So, luncheon at IKEA. And so they moved the luncheon over there for this next meeting. March 15th, 11:30 to 1. If anybody has a chance to go, we'd love to have you out there. I won't be available. It'll be spring break. Mixer at Texas, Axe and Ale, March 28th. That sounds really fun, by the way. I think I will definitely be at that one. So, I mean, what have a beer and throw axes. I mean, what could possibly happen? She wanted me to remind everybody of the air show, April 6th to 7th, Thunderbird VIP tent. She's still looking for sponsors, goodie bag items. Air show is open to the public. I mean, that'd be something else. If we could put something from Garden Ridge in that bag too, that'd be great. It's open to the public, but the access to the all-inclusive tent is limited to sponsors. So, and I'm sure city partners. What else we have? Okay, so we have Tri-County assisting the Native American powwow. I mentioned that at the last meeting, April 13th. Gates open at 11:30. Pretty excited about that one. The chamber's gotten behind that one. I think they've grown it each year, and I think it'll probably double this year. So when Mindy starts putting her hands on things, it grows pretty quick. So. And then, of course, you have Stosh behind it too, and so he has more time to spend on it now. So now that he's not doing mayoral duties. Golf tournament TPC San Antonio, April 16th on the Oaks, and then this weekend we have a ribbon cutting at Cibolo. If anybody wants to go, it's a sketch an artist did, and they painted an entire mural. It's near 1908, and it's actually Jamie and Liz's building that they've painted, so they're going to have a big unveiling. So I think that'll be pretty cool. So it was sketched by an artist, and 25 children painted it. So they sent us an invite out. So, and that is all I have.
You got any updates for the mixer in April?
Not right now, not right
Okay.
now. We just need to decide on who's doing food and if we're gonna have a band or
Band?
band.
Band?
Lisa, you know a band?
Band? Did they say yes to both events?
Still waiting for.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. So we do have a band for
We
the
got a
April
band.
mixer.
All right,
Fantastic. Awesome, thank you.
awesome. On to item number 10A4, council liaison to the water company utilities. Jesse?
No update.
I don't have anything either. 5, Kamal, or council liaison to Kamal ISD. Todd's not here tonight. I don't have anything. Moving on, item number 6, this is new. Wait, go ahead.
Wait. We do have that ISD thing with the the ROTC that I mentioned. I don't know if we have that proclamation that Marissa could bring up. I'm sorry? I can't hear you. Now? What?
Let's do it in item number 13.
Okay, we'll do
Let's
it.
that
Never
now.
mind, we'll do it in number 13.
Perfect. All right, so, but you're still up. 10A6, this is new, animal services enhancement.
Yes,
Please.
I'm sorry. Yes, I met with Eric Lohman again. We continued this project about, we've addressed the idea of volunteerism. We've had citizens come forward from time to time to ask to, essentially walk the dogs when we have them. And I said, I learned a lot more from Eric that it's not, we are covered from a liability issue, as far as if there's an accident or something like that. But the problem is, this is something I did not know, that if there is an animal that it's a meet and greet, whether it be with a person and their own dog to see if they're compatible, for example, to adopt one of our dogs, or if it's just a dog that, like we have now, and a family goes up there or someone goes up there and the dog bites, by law, that dog has to be registered as dangerous and has to be put down. That just doesn't seem acceptable to me. There's nothing I can change. So the idea of volunteers handling the dogs is I think, out of the question. But I did discuss with him, and it's something he would like and we would like. He showed me the area that they'd put together several months ago with, back in the corner behind the razor wire and so on, which is not accessible to anyone. But we investigated a kennel. It's a big, the initial part is 10 by 10, and you can expand it up to 30 by 30. It's a very solid. I went to see it they have a sample at Tractor Supply. It's something that we could put out there so that our employees could let our dogs, the ones we have in custody, if you will, living with us, have a little elbow room, a little run and fun time. And there's a place for it, for lack of a better description, it's adjacent to, it's kind of hard to see on there, on the screen there, but it'd be between the Public Works facility and the parking lot where we have the recycling on Tuesdays. So there's an area there, and they would prep the ground, and Eric has all the facts and figures on that. They would prep the ground and so on like that. And it would be a walk, so Ryan or whomever would walk the animals out there, and on nice days they could have, all kinds of freedom. Eric expressed the concern that would this become a dump spot, even though it's double, triple locked. But I think we need to just run that risk if that happens. I mean, it's a portable kennel. We could relocate it if that be the case. So I'd like to consider putting it as a budget item, because once you get it all out with the tarp over the top and everything like that, it's pricey. The initial 10 by 10, again, it's a substantial crate, and it has a very good gate on it and so on. It's is $1,000. But then it goes up from there. If you max it all out, it's probably in the neighborhood of $7,000 or $8,000 till you fit it all out and expand it to 30 by 30. But if we had the 10 by 10 within the 30 by 30, it'd be, I use the term catch pen, he wasn't familiar, like when you run cattle in, and it's an isolated area and you can restrict them, and that'd be the same thing if you're letting other people go in and visit these dogs. Now, granted, we don't have a constant flow of dogs. He mentioned, and it seems to me too, that this we have them in a sort of cyclical for some reason, and we have multiple. Right now, we only have 3 runs, and if we have more than, then it's a problem. And these dogs are going to live out their lives in a cage, some of them. The 2 that are there now are wonderful dogs, but I would say, you know, they're going to have some problems. And he works very closely with a woman named Stephanie over at Universal City. We no longer use Canyon Lake. And she apparently, and I'm trying to set up a meeting with her, she works apparently just real miracles with getting dogs placed and works very closely with Eric. And to the degree that she can, she'll take our rescues. And for those of you who don't know, that when a dog is surrendered or turned, well, not surrendered, but when we acquire a dog, by law, after 2 weeks, it becomes property of the city, if it's not claimed or whatever, or rehomed. And then we spay and neuter them at our cost through Dr. Templeman's office. And from there, then they're able to be placed. But just like every facility, everybody's crowded. I mean, and unfortunately, dogs and cats are disposable. They're material things to too many people around here. So we try to be animal friendly, and we try to do the right thing. So I think to do the right thing is to expand our spaces and at least try. I mean, it's not going to be a wasted investment because we'll always have dogs. So even if a program doesn't work out, or we can't have, you know, the dogs turned out to that space on a regular basis, I mean, we'll still have dogs that are going to need some elbow room. And if we have an influx of dogs or something like that. So I'd really like to pursue it and get the facts and figures to you guys, and maybe even for budget season, get a special line item on it, but maybe do something before then.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
So let's
Yeah.
set up some time with you, me, Eric, and Nancy, and when we have some good numbers and some actionable items, we can put something on the agenda.
Yeah, I think we can. Now, Eric has spring break vacation. I believe it's next week, isn't it? Yeah, Stephen, so he'll be out of pocket next week, but we've met a couple times. He sent me this information. He verified there are some, of course, some price increases. But again, I did go see the kennel, and it's nice. I even thought about, they have one there that I think a truck must have run into. It's got a dented, and I thought, I wonder if they'd sell that to us at cost. But you order them. You have to commit to it. You order them, and then they bring them in individually.
That's great. Keep going.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
I'll set that all up. I'll get the facts and figures
Okay.
together.
Thanks, Kay.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right, on to item number 11, discussion of future agenda items. This is, it's not really a discussion, it's just do you have something that you want on April's agenda? Kelly, please? Jesse? Okay?
No, unless we can spec out some sort of some sort of protocol for citizens' responses or something like that. I don't know. I have had input from citizens, one of whom is in the audience and shall remain unnamed, that it's hard to see the tops of these monitors when you're streaming. And also the sound is always an issue. People are soft-spoken, Sam, but some people are soft-spoken, and we need to maybe work on the volume, pumping up the volume, so on. But, I mean, I don't know what we can do about that. That's not really a future agenda item, but if there's a way of encouraging people more fully to, you come up here, and then if you think you don't get an answer, maybe we don't understand your question. So I would encourage our citizens to reach out to all of us and just keep saying, hey, you know, our emails are out there.
So it doesn't sound like it's necessarily an agenda item, but something that we can discuss with city staff.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anything? Okay. Moving on to item number 12, citizen comment period. You don't have to have signed up for this one. You've got 2 minutes. We can't comment on what you're saying when you come up, but we are taking notes, and thanks for being here. Any takers? It's good to see you, Rod. Thanks again, and you have the floor, sir.
There we go. Thanks, council. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for the kind words to the Parks Committee. It was a team effort, and it was definitely a labor of love on our part. We enjoyed doing it. Lisa, I want to appreciate your actions in trying to put your hands around everything. It's an awesome task. It's huge. If any way I can help, let me know, please. The main thing is awareness, communication, a clear set of objectives if you're going to have a town hall meeting, and possibly look to leverage the Stroll magazine, because that does go to all of Garden Ridge. Next thing is town hall meeting, definitely in favor of that. We've had 4 mailbox break-ins at Forest of Garden Ridge HOA, the community mailboxes, since the first of the year. Not all of them have been officially reported to PD, but they have been reported to the post office. What has happened is throughout the United States, not just our community, not just Texas, but all of the United States, they are selling master keys for community mailboxes in the black market at about $5,000 a pop. And it's a humongous problem. We've been hit, like I said, 4 times since the first of the year, which means they don't have to break into it. They just got to unlock it, and they're gone. And it's a community mailbox, so you have the same key by the postal carrier to all the mailboxes. Just stress that you get the word out. Tell people to pick up their mail, or go ahead and take a notification from the post office. When something gets delivered, they'll notify you free of charge, which is a wonderful thing from that side. But if you can we look into getting a post office in the city of Garden Ridge? City limits, there are towns that are about 1,000 in population that have a post office. It's called a village post office. There are conditions with it, but they will do it, and they've done it as recent as the last 12 months. And thank you very much for your time. I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, Rod. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you so much. That concludes item number 12, citizen comment period. Item number 13, reports and comments from mayor and city council members. Jesse, you're number 1 on the list here for the 100 Club, Mount County.
Yeah, well, just, I had it added on here because in January, I was appointed to the 100 Club board directors, by their board directors. So I'm part of that committee now. I think I replaced John McCall on that board. So I'm excited to be on it. My first meeting, I think, will be in April. But in the meantime, I want to announce some upcoming events. Each McDonald location in Comal County will host a fundraiser donating 10% of all sales between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. on Good Friday, March 29th. And so that goes all to the 100 Club of Comal County. Our nearest location in Comal County for McDonald's is the one on 35 and 1103. If you go to this one over here on in front of HEB, that goes to Guadalupe 100 Club. So you can still go there, but it goes to Guadalupe. And the annual dinner is right now scheduled for April 9th, Tuesday, and more information on that's forthcoming. So you should be getting something in the mail later this month. That's all I have.
Awesome, thank you. Anything for AAMPO?
No, meeting next week.
All right. Troop 828 cooked burgers and dogs for us at First Friday, and they made a net of $152. That goes into their general fund to help pay for all the things that they like to do in the summertime, so that was awesome. Families of Garden Ridge Adopt a Highway program. Our next cleanup will be the morning of the air show on the 6th of April from 8 to 10 a.m. And it's the it's the Texas-wide trash off. So we will win again, even though they don't give us anything, other than, hey, great, thanks. Let's see. Kay, do you want to talk about Junior Rotzi from Davenport?
Yeah, just a coincidental thing. One of our meetings, one of the Tri-County meetings, ran into Sarah Perriman, who's our one of our liaisons for CISD. Most of you, or several of you, have met her at our luncheons and so on. She mentioned that she was on her way to make this presentation, which was apparently a surprise to the junior ROTC at the school. That proclamation, although it's obviously hard to see, is signed by Donna Campbell. So it was a really nice. I wasn't able to get like a presentation here, but in their honor, we wanted to be sure everyone knew that they received this proclamation. And there's a copy of the of the proclamation itself to the left of the screen there, thanks to Marissa's artwork. So just to call it out, another kudo, if you will, to our schools. And I think that looks like David in the back on the right, on the right in the T-shirt, or the purple, the maroon shirt. Yeah. So Sarah was in one of the other pictures, but she's not in this picture. But anyway, so it's just all about networking. It's really working.
It's awesome, Kay, thank you. They've done a great job with that.
Sure.
With that detachment. So, thanks for bringing that to our attention. Awesome. Anybody else for the Northeast Partnership? We have our next lunch is next week, Thursday the 14th. It's here at the community center, so please come on by. If you can, Jesse, I know you can't make it that day, but love to have you guys out, especially with it being in town. And Bexar County Judge Peter Sakai is going to be our guest speaker that day. Anybody have anything else? We've kind of talked about stuff as we've gone. All right, great. That brings us to item number 14, just under the wire, 7:55, adjournment. There being no further business, the city council regular meeting is adjourned at 7:56 p.m. Thanks for coming tonight. Great work, council and city staff. Thanks.